On Get Up, Shefty, we need to talk about fantasy implications of injuries. We start with the Jets and Le'Veon Bell. What's the deal?
Listen, they are optimistic that he's going to be able to play. Had the MRI, didn't turn up anything real noticeable or significant. But it is an injury. They are not playing great football. You just wonder if they exercise caution. I don't know if we'll get a full Le'Veon Bell, but they think he's going to play on Sunday right now.
They play the Giants. The Giants have an injury situation of their own. Tight end Evan Ingram got hurt against the Cowboys. What's going on there?
Yeah, he's got a midfoot sprain. He got a second opinion from Dr. Robert Anderson. And yesterday, Evan Ingram said he's not going to play on Sunday against the New York Jets. Again, when teams get into these situations, you just wonder how much time a player is going to miss, but no Ingram on Sunday.
And then finally, Patrick Mahomes, a full participant at practice yesterday. What are the chances he plays Sunday?
I think the arrow is pointing up, Greeny. This is the game the Chiefs had been targeting all along. I think if they feel like he's in a good spot after a practice this week, I think we'll see Patrick Mahomes on Sunday against the Titans.
Okay, so those are some of the injury circumstances that we're keeping a close eye on. Meanwhile, to Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, who continues a spectacular sophomore season. Huge win Sunday night against New England. Ran for 2 touchdowns, threw for another. He's now on pace for over 3,600 yards passing and over 1,200 yards rushing. Wow. Acho, let's take a look at some tape and show us just how Lamar Jackson has made himself into one of the most valuable players in the NFL.
Well, everybody has told you how Lamar Jackson is so good. I want to show you why Lamar Jackson is so good. Let's take a look at the tape. Against the Seattle Seahawks, they chose to play the safety deep as opposed to spying him. They could have had the safety there to spy Lamar Jackson because you know how good he is running. But they said, you know what? We're going to sit him deep. Well, when Lamar Jackson sees you got a safety deep, he's not worried. He's like, you know what? All the defenders are in coverage. So not only am I going to turn my back to y'all and just thoroughly disrespect the defense, he knows y'all ain't looking. So I'm going to use my feet and I'm going to take off and run. And rather than throw the ball, he's just going to trot down the field for an easy 28-yard gain. Well, the Patriots watched the tape. So they said, we're not going to play a safety deep. We're going to spy Lamar Jackson, and we're going to make you beat us with your arm. Lamar Jackson says, bet. He stands in the pocket. Uh-oh, red arrow. That means we're in trouble. No trouble for Lamar Jackson. Delivers a perfect dart on the top shelf where the little kids can't go get it unless the receiver go up there and snag the ball off top of your head. So again, I'm not going to debate if Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback in the NFL, but as a former NFL defender, he's the hardest quarterback to stop in the National Football League.
That's really well done. Acho, thank you very much. We'll talk more about that one as we go. Now we get to the NBA, where last night a frustrated Doc Rivers vented about the coach's challenge after he lost one in the fourth quarter of the Clippers' loss to the Bucks on Wednesday night. The call in contention was that offensive foul drawn by Eric Bledsoe on Lou Williams, in which replay showed there was no contact at all. Doc.
That was awful. It was not. They should have overturned it. That's why I hate the rule. Nobody wants to be wrong. I mean, let me just say that. And that was, you have to overturn that. Unless Bledsoe fouled Lou with his face, there was no foul on that play. There was a flop.
So does this sound familiar? Coaches are frustrating that they're not getting replays, overturning calls that they don't like. This is a conversation we've had in the NFL. What do you make of this, Jay Will?
Well, it just wasn't the fact that he didn't like it. I mean, it was a blatant flop. Like,
right.
It didn't really, you're going to see there on the replay multiple times. I do think this is going to pay huge dividends when we get into the playoffs. There are so many times that you will have some issues within calls that coaches will have that one challenge that this can go a very long way. And I understand where fans will say, I don't want the games to be a little bit longer. I'd rather the games be 5 minutes longer if that means that we get the call right.
Here's what I will say. I have been one of the loudest proponents of instant replay, more and more replay in sports over many years. And you know what? It is starting to try my patience. I'm actually starting to wonder if replay is overstaying its welcome. And here's why. We've extended it too far. The purpose of replay is to overturn egregiously missed calls. Egregiously missed calls. You don't want to have happened what happened in New Orleans in the NFC Championship game last year. You don't want the outcome of a really important game to be completely determined by a bad call. But it is not meant to try and get every single call in every single game right. That's never going to happen. And I think to some degree we have created an expectation and the fans that they're going to do that, and it's a mistake.
But that's why you only get one challenge.
Right.
You're only allowed one challenge per game, so you have to think about when you want to utilize that one challenge. And if that is in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, I guarantee you a fan will much rather have that one challenge for that
If that's a playoff game, don't you think they actually change it? I think they do.
If you're challenging that, but I think Doc Rivers would be a lot smarter to actually challenge a bigger call in the bigger scheme of things.
Maybe. Okay, you know what I have time for here? I want to show you some eye candy. Now, here is a very lucky student from Oklahoma who earned free tuition for a year thanks to a half-court shot. Yes, all right, so he's got that half-court shot, tuition for the year. Jay Will, you've been a part of a ton of this. It was suggested by someone on our staff who shall remain nameless that the half-court shot in the era of Steph Curry and everything else has become too easy, and that we need to make this a harder shot.
Lies.
And as evidence of this, they wanted me to show the fact that the least athletic person on this set is capable of making that shot. And yes, I'm talking about myself. I take you on the Wayback Machine. That's 5 years ago.
That throw.
Bam.
Get it. Now, bam. Greeny, I see you, Greeny. With all due respect, I will put you on the court right now, and I do not think you can make that shot.
It don't matter.
Again,
He
a
made it
one-handed
when it
shot.
count.
He made it that one time.
Stop being a hater.
I'm not being a hater.
Whoa!
I'm not being a hater.
I
Did
see
you
you.
do the LeBron James?
Give it to him. Give it to him, Greedy. Give it to him. I see you. Culture Wednesday lives on. I love it, Green Bean.
Can we analyze the argument you're making?
Yes.
You're arguing that I'm incapable of making a shot that I'm showing you on video I made.
How many years ago was that?
Hey.
It was 4 years ago.
I guarantee if we were to take 10 shots,
Mike.
we should do this. This should be a segment.
Put money down,
10
Jay.
shots. I will.
Put some money
I
down.
did a Crystal. I'll
Jay.
put $5,000, Greeny.
Jay.
$5,000, Greeny.
Jay.
I'll do a pair of red bottoms for
Jay,
you.
Jay,
Mike.
hold on. This was a segment.
I do not care.
You're literally
Stop it, Mike. Mike.
Red bottoms.
This is the equivalent of you going in your mentions arguing with a Twitter egg. He's a hater.
Yeah.
You hit that shot, then you danced on him, then you hit him with the silencer. It was all
It's not
cold
easy.
blooded.
Don't act like it's
I
easy.
love it, Greeny.
It's not that
Ignore
easy.
the haters.
It ain't that
Ignore
easy.
the haters. You just bang that
I'm
shot.
worried about the
I don't even
$5,000 bet Greeny just passed
I don't even
up
think
on.
Nick would hit the rim.
Oh, this is. You see
I
that?
don't think Nick
Watch,
would hit the rim.
This is how you do that, Greeny. Ignore them haters, man. I don't even hear him. He's just a wannabe hater. That's it.
I'm a wannabe hater.
I'm like Mitch Trubisky. I'm
No
just not
cheese on
listening to
it.
anything you
No
say.
cheese on it.
All right, guys, whole different subject. It is all on the line. 3 o'clock Eastern this Sunday on ABC from CenturyLink Field when the Seattle Sounders host Toronto FC for the MLS Cup. It'll be the first time in club history the Sounders will host the event. And earlier this week, the commissioner of the MLS, Don Garber, was here. El Duncan sat down with him to talk about the game.
Here's Rui Diaz. He has a chance. He scored. Now Dele. Oh, let him fly. Scores. Magic in the playoffs.
If the streets of Seattle seem completely empty on Sunday, it's probably because everyone is at CenturyLink as the Sounders prepare to take on Toronto FC. 69,000 strong. Tickets sold out in minutes. And you know who that makes very happy, I imagine, MLS Commissioner Don Garber. Thanks for joining us here.
It does make me happy.
I was going to say, so you find out that in literally less than an hour, a historic amount of tickets have been sold out for your Cup final, and you're thinking what?
I'm thinking, this is a team that's earned the right to host the MLS Cup. It's had such a successful run, been in the playoffs every year since it existed, but never hosted the championship game. So I knew it would sell out. 20 minutes, I'm not quite sure I thought that.
It's well known across the league that the Sounders fans are arguably some of the best. But when you think about that, when you think about a historic pace, people being interested in your game, what do you think it says about the popularity of the league in 2019?
It speaks to where our country is. America's become this great soccer nation, and the sport's growing from the bottom up, and MLS is driving a lot of that growth. Teams like the new LAFC in Seattle and Atlanta and Toronto, and all those clubs are building this great fan culture. And then now, finally, we have a game on ABC, which is the first time we've been on ABC in many years. The sport's got a lot of momentum, and MLS is driving that. And in many ways, it's kind of capitalizing on some of this real euphoria and excitement about the sport of soccer in our country.
And you're building so much equity amongst celebrity owners as well. We know Russell Wilson is
That's
involved,
fun.
right? We
Yeah.
know Will Ferrell's involved. Why do you think you're getting that kind of interest for your sport?
It speaks to value. MLS teams are growing in value. We're expanding quite rapidly. James Harden just bought into our team in Houston. Russell and his wife Ciara are involved in MLS. You're seeing more and more people that are seeing value in Major League Soccer, and pop culture and soccer kind of have always been sort of interlinked.
Let's go macro. Where do you envision this league being in the next decade?
Well, it's going to be a lot bigger. We'll be 30 teams, and we'll have, 5 new teams coming in the next 3 or 4 years. So I think you're going to see the league grow in popularity, build a lot of momentum as we lead up to the World Cup in 2026. United States, Mexico, and Canada, one of the biggest sporting events, if not the biggest in the world during this decade. So there's going to be so much excitement, and MLS is going to be in the center of it. So somebody like you who's a fan will be able to have that much more to be able to get excited and passionate about.
And that's the long term. In the short term, you get a rubber match in the MLS Cup Championship. That is about as good as you could ask for, Toronto FC and Seattle, and from 69,000 strong. Commissioner Garber, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, coming up, First Take is next. Kawhi Leonard didn't play for the Clippers against the Bucks last night. The guys on First Take will discuss why the Clippers are completely okay with it and the fans are not. That and more coming up in 6 minutes right here on ESPN.